in Amongpini, Payam of Rumbek Center County and a cattle camp in Ural East County on Tuesday. And the executive director of IGAD is calling on member states to allocate budget to fund AI security innovation, establish regional AI ethics, protocols for law enforcement, and response mechanisms. Tune in for these stories and more coming to you in our 7 o'clock bulletin. My colleague will be here shortly with the Arabic news headlines. I'm Helen Samuel. Thank you for listening.
أهلا ومرحبا بكم. ده زمن عناوين الأخبار من عيريت التفاصيل يجيكم في النشر المفصل في الساعة 7:30. تولى الجنرال رابي إيمانويل بعد زور الليلة منصبه حاكما جديد لولاية الاستوات الوسطى بعد تعيينه في يوم الاثنين. صرع وزير الإعلام في ولاية البويرات بمقتل 4 أشخاص وإصابة 3 آخرين في سلسلة هجمات في منطقة منقويني بمقاطعة رومبيك الوسطى ومعسكر ماشية في مقاطعة يورو الشرقية في يوم الثلاثاء. دعا المدير التنفيذي للهيئة الحكومية الدولية المعنية بتنمية إيجاد الدول الأعضاء إلى تخصيص ميزانية لتمويل ابتكارات ومنع الذكاء الاصطناعي ووضع بروتوكولات أخلاقية إقليمية للذكاء الاصطناعي لإنفاذ القانون وآليات الاستجابة. خليك في عيريد الكثير من الأخبار والمعلومات اللي تجيك في النشر المفصل بتاع الساعة 7:30. أنا كنت معكم الشيخ شولجين. شكرا للاستماع.
إحنا كلنا جنوبيين سودانيين، ما مهم منو جاي من وين. إحنا محتاجين نحترم بعض وندعم بعض لأنه إحنا واحد. إحنا كلنا بشر كسودانيين جنوبيين بنستحق عشان نعيش بالسلام، نستحمل بعض ونصالح خلافاتنا ونعيش بالسلام. ده رسالة تسامح والتعايش السلمي بيجيك من اي راديو هناك في جنوب السودان.
Welcome to the Sundown Show. On this show we bring you the movers and shakers of South Sudan and the world over. We engage in debates and discussions that unearth the stories behind the news. And we have our light moments too by chit-chatting about issues that affect our day-to-day life. We stay right here on the Sundown. Join in and be part of the show on iRadio, your eye on South Sudan. The Sundown. For the news, views, opinion, debates and discussions. Listen to who is who talking about issues that affect our country and continent. Only on the Sundown, your eye on South Sudan.
Hello and welcome to the Sundown Show on iRadio with me, Madrama. Today is Wednesday, 18th of June 2025. The program comes to you Monday to Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. for comprehensive look at the daily events, the latest information, in-depth analysis, exclusive interviews and exciting surprises. To be part of the show, call us on 0911-02298-6986. Send for us a text message on 0913-986-986. If you can't access the radio, we are on Facebook, X, YouTube and more. You can also stream these broadcasts live by logging to that's our website at www.iradio.org. Today is June 18, and around the world, the United Nations mark the International Day for Countering Hate Speech. Is a reminder of the importance of promoting respectful dialogue and protecting communities from verbal attacks, discrimination, and online abuse. Here in South Sudan, hate speech, whether on social media or in public disclosure, continues to threaten peace, social cohesion, and national unity. But how is the country addressing this challenge? Current laws to the task. But before that, let's know what's this day is all about. Well, the International Day for Countering Hate Speech is a united designated day to raise awareness about the dangers of hate speech and promote tolerance and respect in society. It calls on everyone, government, media, civil society, and the public to speak out against words that divide and to promote peace through responsible communication. Earlier today, iRadio's Michael Daniel spoke with Stephen Wani, a legal expert who says South Sudan still relies on that outdated laws and policies that are not strong enough to tackle modern forms of hate speech, especially in the digital space. Let's now listen to Wani, Stephen talking to that my colleague in an exclusive interview.
Thank you so much. My name is Wani Stephen. I am a lawyer, the Deputy Secretary General for the South Sudan Bar Association. When we look into our Penal Code Act, there is no clear provision that address ethnic hate speech. There are several other provisions that attempt to regulate hate speech, but for example, Section 75 of the Penal Code Act focuses on inciting inaccurate information against the government, and then we have Chapter 15 of the Penal Code Act that talks about hate speech against religious creed. And here religious creed, it means the different religion, the Islam, the Christianity, but there is no clear provision that address hate speech against ethnicity or tribe
or individuals
in South Sudan.
So it seems like we copy these sections of the law from Sudan, because it seems like when you talk about the issue of religious, it came like from Sudan. We did not amend it.
So our Penal Code Act, our current Penal Code Act, was enacted when Southern Sudan was still part of Sudan in 2008. And that's why we can clearly see what the legislator attempted to regulate, especially the hate expression from one religion to another, because our society by then was very vulnerable to religious related hate speech and religious related violence, because we know in Sudan how religion was used to against one group or the other. So that's why the Penal Code Act of 2008 embodied that spirit. However, when we look into Southern Sudan now, I think this law is outdated, and there is a need for us to consider our local context now, whereby there is much need to address the issues of hate speech against ethnicities, against tribes, because this is what we're seeing.
How can this be included in the Penal Act of the current?
I think there is a need to amend the Penal Code Act, a law that was enacted in 2008 until now, no amendments. Crimes have evolved. So there is a need for us to look into our Penal Code Act again as a country and see what are some of the common phenomena that we need to address, that we need to criminalize, to avoid such being used against our society and also against our community.
In 2020, the Minister of Justice had established a cybercrime court, which was established under the provision order from the president. Then later, there was no any work or being done by the court, and the excuse was given at the time that the bill itself was not passed from the parliament, so it cannot be used. At the same time, someone can ask why we don't use the provision order. It's like, I think it is the same one of like, it will be like a special court, the same way we have this special court of GPP.
So when we look into the provisional order that was signed by our president in 2021, in May 2021, it was signed because our constitution allows the president to sign urgent policy into law in specific situations. One of them is that the parliament is not in session, which means they're in recess, and also the matter is urgently needed. And that was the condition in 2021. We all know COVID, how it was, how it made people to march and do business online through cyberspace, of course, and different social media platforms. So there was a lot of scam, there is a lot of cyber crimes that were committed by them. So that gave the president the right to use the constitutional provision and sign the policy into a provisional order. However, that bill was nullified by our parliament in 2023 due to time elapse, because the same provision that gave the president the powers states that once the parliament comes into session, such bills are supposed to be presented to the parliament. However, it took longer. So the establishment of the cybercrime specialized prosecution unit by the Ministry of Justice, by then, it was in line with that provisional order. However, when that provisional order was nullified in 2023, it also means that all actions that were taken, through it shall also, be suspended until a new bill is presented or until a new law is enacted. Now, I just want to make it very clear that what was established was a cybercrime specialized prosecution unit.
Not a court.
A court is, within our legal system, Ministry of Justice does not establish courts. Rather, it is the work of the judiciary. So these are two separate powers that in the current cybercrimes and computer misuse bill have also been addressed, that will prosecute cybercrime, because it is the responsibility of the state to prosecute crimes in the country. So they would have a specialized public prosecutor's attorney that will help in the process of prosecuting cybercrimes in the country. And this is what was established.
Someone can ask, what are the main objective of the purpose of the computer misuse bill, and what specific issue does it aim to address?
Well, the cybercrimes and computer misuse current bill, one of its main purpose is to regulate, conduct on cyberspace, which means it is not only limited to expressions or content-related crimes. It is also regulate things like hacking, with different types of crimes committed through computer systems. So the purpose of that legislation is to ensure that we have a safe cyberspace. So if you want to be doing your things online, your bank accounts, all that, the purpose of the bill is to ensure that you do that safely, so to provide cyber security for all the users online. Code Act is inadequate to regulate hate speech because it does not comprehensively address the issue. Now, in other legislations like the Media Authority Act, it is extensively addressed. However, the challenge becomes, for example, there is no clear definition in the Penal Code Act. There is no clear definition in the Penal Code Act that defines what is hate speech. So it makes enforcing it very difficult. So, for example, if I have expressed hateful content or hateful expression against a particular tribe in this country, it's very difficult for our law enforcement agents to prosecute me because the legal framework in our Penal Code Act is not sufficient. Within the Media Authority Act, it is well articulated. The challenge becomes with the remedy, or what are we charging?
But I think the Media Authority is only talking about the media personnel.
Yes, the Media Authority focuses more on regulating the media sector. It focuses more on regulating the media sector. However, in the current age, whereby almost huge percentage of online expression is done through online media, it makes the work of the Media Authority slightly wider and bigger. But still, the challenge becomes on the penalties that are stipulated within the Media Authority Act. I think it is not sufficient, especially when we look into the impact of hate speech. If I say something, I incited for violence against a particular tribe or a particular ethnicity in this country, it may lead to violence, it may lead to people being killed. And when we look into the remedies within the Media Authority Act, we can say they are not sufficiently comprehensive. So there is a need to amend both the Media Authority Act and the Penal Code Act to have a more comprehensive legal framework that will, protect people of South Sudan from hate speech.
That was legal expert one is Steven, and at the same time a lawyer of that South Sudan Bar Association. Meanwhile, iRadio Sobachoku Shagawa also spoke to the spokesperson of the National Parliament and chairperson of the Information Committee, Honorable Oliver Mori Benjamin. He confirmed that the much talked about that cybercrime and computer misuse bill has already been tabled in Parliament for first reading, and once lawmakers resume sessions, it's expected to be debated and passed. Let's listen to Oliver Mori is speaking to my colleague today.
Thank you for the opportunity. You see, the hate speech all over the world, all conflicts arise from hate speech, and that is why all our mass media, whether being them TV, radios, and so on, and even among ourselves as communities or as individuals, we should try as much as possible to avoid and counteract any hate speech. And to counter it, we must be sure of what we are writing or what we are broadcasting, taking into consideration the feelings of our listeners, our viewers, and those who read our articles. Once we put this into our minds, I think this is the best way we can encounter hate speech. For instance, in the Parliament, there is no way you can use hate speech, because the moment you use hate speech, someone, honorable member, will get up and gives you a point of order, and then the speaker will rule. If it amounts to hate speech or offensive, then that particular member will be asked to withdraw his statement. This is how in Parliament we are countering this hate speech. We don't give opportunities for members to beat the people to publicize hate speech.
Mm-hmm. And how do you assess the current legal and policy framework in relation to the hate speech in our context here in South Sudan?
Our constitution is very clear. It gives the right of freedom of speech to every South Sudanese. Whether you are in the press or you are where, you have the freedom of speech. But that freedom of speech also, you must know that you don't infringe on the right of others. This is the only way the Constitution has put it. And giving you the freedom of speech, and that you should not indulge with the right of others, this is actually a way of countering freedom of speech. Freedom of speech or hate speech. Our laws are very clear.
And also in the same note, what measures has the parliament taken to address hate speech in South Sudan, both online and offline? Because we've been seeing a lot of hate speech going, especially online platforms, whether through TikTok or Facebook or X or Facebook, name them.
The parliament, we should be able to understand the role of parliament. The parliament makes laws to be implemented, and once they are implemented or once they are enacted, there are agencies which are supposed to implement those decisions taken by the parliament. And the parliament does not leave it just openly like that. If there is shortage, the parliament has the right to intervene by summoning the executing authorities. In that case, these are the executive. But the parliament cannot directly go and be the investigator or be the judge and so on. So that is the role parliament is doing. Secondly, we are also waiting, should anybody feel aggrieved of any action taken, he has the right to report that to the appropriate organs or institutions for action to be taken. And if it is brought to the attention of the parliament will take it up just by summoning, whether he is a minister, is a commissioner, is a governor, and tell him to find out why is this thing happening. That is it.
And also would like to know whether there has been any attempt to include hate speech provision in the new media or cybercrime laws, if we have this law like the one for cybercrime in our constitution, or maybe the parliament is planning to have such law in place.
It is not in the constitution, but for your information, I think you have been following that the cyber security bill was already tabled to parliament in its first reading stage, and it was now referred to this committee of information. We have said, we have discussed it with our members and with the 3 committees tasked to look into the cyber security bill. That is the mother committee of ICT and postal services, and then legislation and legal affairs, and then security and public order. These 3 committees have been meeting all this time, and if it were not for the delay of opening of the parliament, you would find that this cyber security bill would have been tabled in the parliament for the second reading. We have taken steps to review the table draft, and with the help of National Communication Authority, who stood by us, they were able to hire experts from abroad. They came and we sat together to review the bill which was already tabled to us. We have made all our comments ready for tabling on the second reading. Another aspect is that, you see, to learn the experience of other countries, we have planned for a visit to 1 or 2 countries to have the benchmarking on how they are applying the cyber security bill in their countries, and how are their parliaments dealing with it. So God willing, when the parliament reopens according to its schedule, the cyber security will find its way to the plenary.
Yes, and also there's another question. I would like to know whether your Committee of Information has done any public awareness campaigns to educate citizens about the danger of hate speech.
In fact, we did this cyber security. We have held about 3 workshops, including even the civil societies, and we shared ideas together, and they contributed and gave us very fruitful suggestions to improve the bill. So once we table the second reading, we will again call another workshop for us to exchange ideas before we move to the 3rd and 4th reading stage.
So now let me also connect it to there was proposal of there's something they call it computer misuse bill. Is it also connected to the cybercrime?
They are going together.
Yeah. So my question is, what motivated this bill to be drafted, to be tabled?
You see, Parliament, this bill was prepared by the Minister of Justice. It went to the Council of Ministers. They approved it and passed it to Parliament to put their own input. And when it is appropriate, then after the 4th stage, it will be taken back to the President to enact it into law by signing it. In Parliament, bills can come through members, private members' bill, or from the government, like the cyber security, the others can come. But it's thrown to the Parliament to analyze and to judge it. So these are the two sources of presenting bills.
So now let's talk about the issue of the securing digital platforms, because you've been following also, and most of us are following what is happening online. What is your advice to those who are abusing the social platform like Facebook?
We have summoned some of them here to the Parliament, where we felt they were exceeding their boundaries. And we told them that yes, you have a role to play, but let us play a fair play without injustice, without hurting anybody. We have called more than 5 institutions or individuals whom we feel in the social media they are actually affecting the general good of the public.
Can you name them?
No. These are confidential issues which we observe and we discuss with them, and we are happy that they had improved.
But it was in public domain.
How?
We talk about hate speech. Somebody who is going online and then you invited them or you summon them.
No. We also monitor this social media like you do. And when we see X or Y as an individual or as an organization persistently insist of creating havoc in the society, we will call him and we will show him, we are calling you here because of A, B, C. Our views in this is that this is not good for the society. Can you tell us the motives under which you are doing this? And then we understood from them. And in fact, most of them apologize. Most of them apologize. We said we don't want this issue of you being followed. And most of them in this social media you're talking about, some of them gives you false names, not their real names, to avoid being traced. But today, the world is advanced. Even if you do that, there are methods of how you can be traced. You know that all the telephones we were carrying, before you got that SIM card, you gave your full identity, whether nationality or so on. So that is one way of tracking where these people are. And in fact, when they came to us here, they tried, some of them, I remember 2 of them, denied, this is my passport, this is my ID, you can check my name and so on. And indeed, of course, the right are there in the social media. The name does not concur with the passport or with the ID. We said, okay, can we invite somebody from outside to tell us whether it was you or not? And that part will not be done here. There are other people who are responsible for it, who will investigate and find out. So when they understood this, some of them say, no, we are sorry, I did it, and now I see that it was wrong, it shouldn't have been done. And we left them. What we are avoiding, because we need them to be with us, because these are all professional journalists or people who have their own ill intentions in their heart. We don't want harm to get them. And so 2 came, they were trying to reject and so on. So we gave them the option. Do you think this is a good platform for you and us to handle it, or we take it further to people who will show you that this is what it is? They say, no, 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 we can finish everything here. And we accepted them like that.
Honorable Oliver Mori talking to that. My colleague Bachoku Shagawa, and remember, Mori is the spokesperson of the National Parliament and chairperson of the Information Committee. Well, it's up to you now to pick that cell phone and call us here. Share your thought with us on 0911022986 as today is the day of that countering hate speech, and how should the government respond to such incidences? Have you or someone you know been a victim of that hate speech in South Sudan, and how would you want the issue should be really tackled by the government? Muslimin fi kullu mahal ze alam kahulgat bitefel fi yom bita kitab karahia wa de juzu min hajat al fi junuba sudanini nina gad bainum nina gad basuma o fi juzum kaman gad bahasil le soban bitena le usra le kaman nasa lanina mom garib khalis faita bumana yan bedhapu kuma yamul shunashan kef kitab karahia del juzu minum bahagder khafifu shoya tabielga gebila de batal gebila dak batal mukshunu yan hajadal kulu yan bijib tafriga bijib mashakil وكمان bijib mod fi nus bitena fa yom 18 في كل شهر 6 في كل سنة ألم بتفل في يوم كتاب قراهية فايتا بمعنى بيدا بخوما بتا جنوب السودان يعملوا الشنو بيدا في النايا ده 09 وايد ولد 229
عزيزي مستمع إذاعة آي راديو، لما تشارك في أي موضوع على الإذاعة أرجوك تفادي تصريحات بتحرض أو بيشجع على الكراهية. إحنا بنشجع نقد بناء وآراء هادفة اللي بتهدف إلى توفير الحلول للمشاكل اللي بتواجه الدولة. إحنا ما دايرين ترويج للشائعات أو المعلومات اللي بتعتبر بأنها شائعة أو أغاويل. إحنا بندعو إلى رسائل السلام والوحدة بين مواطنين جنوب السودان. ده آي راديو، عينك على جنوب السودان.
نعم، والمخالمة في قناة آي راديو.
Madrama James.
Yes, Joseph.
Good evening, my brother.
Good evening. Good to have you in the show. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm doing well.
Yes, welcome on board. What's your take?
Thank you. My take on this, this is very important day. Why it's very important? It is to aware people on the bed of the hate speech, because hate speech in South Sudan has no boundaries. because it's mixed with administrative matters, it's mixed with activities that people are inside. Now, when you talk about the hate speech, I heard about what said by the member of parliament. Members of the parliament, they're responsible on making laws of the country, and hate speech is one of the crimes. If I make hate speech and people go and fight and somebody being killed, it is a crime, because in the way that I encourage people to support what I'm saying, hate speech is making you look at the speeches from the government officials, they impose hate speech, but later on members of the parliament, they keep quiet, but they are supposed to ask why you impose hate speech as they speak from your office, because there is a day that somebody is sick and another one disagree, and they are from the same government. So what we want from the leadership, they have to respect laws, because even the hate orders are there, because there is some orders being implemented as a hate orders, because things to differentiate with another. What people like it and people not like it, it is also part of a hate speech. So for us to celebrate this day in South Sudan, it is to aware ourselves why are we imposed hate speech, and hate speech are not okay. Hate speech are not good for our nation as a young nation, as the people of South Sudan. If we put our country ahead and say that one nation and one people, we could not talk about what so-called rebel. If I'm today talking on truth, people may tell me this is rebel. I was acting on the one of the radio at the evening hours, and somebody asked government officials in his question to be answered. Government officials say this is a question from somebody supporting rebel. Look at this, and what we're doing, it is real.
Sure, you are right.
So past 8 regions of Sudan is what called a rebel, because if you do something and somebody rebel from your tribe or your community, the whole community being named a rebel.
A rebel.
Look at that. So if our people listen on us, let them stop what so-called a rebel, because it is not good for us as a South Sudanese. Let somebody who rebel be rebel at that particular time, but not if I'm saying this person is a rebel, it is hate speech, but later on is contributing for the killing ourselves. And the killing ourselves is not giving our chance to build this nation together.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was Joseph here in Munuki, Juba. Joseph is saying the most important thing is we should give more awareness to our people. Otherwise, in expressing your view, someone would tempt you to be a rebel, and which is not the case. But how should the government respond to issues to do with that hate speech? 0911022986 986. Hi, Radio. نعم وهما يعملوا شنو عشان كيف في كتاب كراهية ولا في كلمة بتاع كراهية دائما بيقسم ناس بيجيب مشاكل وزي جنوب السودان وعالم كاكل قاعد بتفل يوم على لازم ده. هاي راديو.
Hello?
أيوة.
Hello, hi radio. I'm not getting your voice.
I'm getting you loud and clear. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Tamam. What's your name and where you calling from?
I'm David, calling from Malakal.
Yes, David. Welcome on board.
Yeah. My opinion is that what should be done to the parliament or to the radio-based speech, you know, everything has the law, but there must be equality before the law. So that after that, they have to see anybody who have reached to the parliament, it means they have a reason and they have opinion to be understand on. So that right of the speech should be given. And then the selection of the opinion should be checked after the suggestion of maybe 5 or to 10 people. When they classify it, which should be done and which should be ignored. No.
Quite unfortunate. I think you can still call us back, but thank you so much for sharing your thought with us. Hi, Radio.
Hello, مساء الخير. هاي راديو.
مساء النور.
أستاذ جورج ولا جيمس؟
جيمس.
Hello.
نعم.
مساء الخير، معك دين سانتو في واو.
يا سلام دين سانتو، مرحبا توالي في زاداي راديو.
كيف سلام كويس؟
الحمد لله.
انت ونس كلام كده قلت كراهية ده.
نعم.
انت قلت هذا كراهية ده يقولوا كيف؟
نعم.
طبعا الكراهية ده ما مسؤولية زول.
مسؤولية منو؟
ده حاجة مخلوق نحن خلقونا كده. حتى في البيت بتاعك ذاته ممكن جناك ما بسمع كلام بتاعك انت بكرهه.
نعم. كتاب الكراهية الناس في كتاب الكراهية الناس قاعد بيناقش فوقه يوم الليلة. مثلا تقول قبيلة كده ما بينفع، زول كده ما بينفع، دين كده ما بينفع، محل كده ما بينفع. يعني تبلغوا شكل حاجات زي ده قاعد بيسجع مشاكل وبيضب وناس يعملوا شنو. ده سؤال.
والله الكلام ده ما كويس، لأنه ما في زول ما بنفع. ناس كل ربنا خلقه من آدم وحواء. ما في زول أحسن من زول تعليم. ممكن زول ده متعلم أكثر من زول ده، لكن ما في زول أحسن من زول. كلنا من آدم وحواء ونرجع لآدم وحواء. عشان كده أنا بشوف ما في نزوم، ما في جملة تشجيع بتاع الكراهية. الحاجة ده ما جات من الناس المثقفين، زاد الناس المتعلمين اللي هم السياسيين. يا هو كان انت شالوك في منصب انت بمشي بونس للوسر بتاعنا نحزل ما تديننا كده 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 كلام كذب ساجد بمشي بونس للوسر والناس اللي بونسوا دول صد كلام بين ده زول مسؤول. ما بقول كلام ساجد. يا هو بشيل لك الرحيه من صغير بقول والله الناس قبيل فلان ده الناس ما كويسين والناس كده كده ما دايرنا. فده برجع للسياسيين. السياسيين هم والناس المثقفين المفروض يوعي الناس، لان ده ما اسلوب بتاع زول متعلم. الزول متعلم انت بتعرف كلام بتاع ربنا، لا ربنا قام بعضكم كما انا حببتكم. ما فرسنا، ربنا خلق الدنيا ده عشان جامنا فوق كله ما فرسنا. ليه نحن بنجي نفرز بس نقول فلان ده كده وفلان ده كده؟ الكلام ده برجع للمثقفين، واكثر ناس اللي بتجيب الرحيه دي للمثقفين هو بكتبه في فيسبوك ده كلام ما مسؤول، كلام مسؤول. نحن في دولة جنوب السودان هنا ابناء آدم وحواء، أمنا واحد وربنا بتاعنا واحد، وجنوب السودان ده بلدنا واحد، ما عندنا بلد ثاني غير جنوب السودان ده. أنا قعدت بتوريد ده بلد بتاعي. أنا قعدت في ياي ده بلد بتاعي، ده أرض بتاعي، ده أرض بتاع جدودنا. عشان كده المثقفين يعني يعمل حساب ما يفتوا الناس. كان عندك مشكلة معي مع دينساتو تعالي كل دينساتو كلامي تقع تهونس ما كويس، لكن ما تمشي تهونس لزول تاني زول كويس. تمشي تقولي دينساتو ده زول كعب زول كده عشان من قبيلة كده، ده عشان هو من شيك أو من أشولة أو من كده. زول ناس ما كويسين، ناس ما بفهم. لا ما كده ما كويس، ده ما تبشير. أدي زول زي تعلموك، أدي زول تعليم عشان ينفع نفسه وينفع مجتمع بتاع جنوب السودان. جنوبنا ربنا يسوع المسيح يخش بقلوب الناس زي ده عشان يطهرهم ويخير قلوبهم عشان نقدر نتوعي نكون الجنوبيين كلهم نقبل بعضنا بعض. شكرا جزيلا.
شكرا جزيلا دين سانتو بمشاركة. وده جزء من حاجات الكمان قاعد بعصر مع الجنوبيين. نتا بيلقى زول صلى متعلم، زول عديل بكون أستاذ، زول عنده ديجري، لكن أخيرا تبس بيلقى كتاب الكراهية بس بيشتغل مو بيهيب كلام ده زيادة. فكا يوم الليلة ده عالم كله جنوب السودان كله قاعد بذكر وبتفل في يوم كتاب كراهية والهيد سبيتش. أنا بمعنى بالضبط وكما يعمل شنو ودور بتاع مواطنين بارو كمان يكون شنو. إني رسالة بيدلا من Gordon Salah. He's saying good evening, I'm enjoying watching the show live from that Sayambio town, and thank you so much for updating us. Thank you. Then we have Malit Apache Real. He is saying good evening, Madrama James, I'm watching you live in that Surumbek East. County of Lake State. Thank you so much. Another quick caller. Hi, radio.
Hello?
Sultana.
Hi, Sultana.
Marhab.
أنا قال زول بدر قط أنا برا أنا بعمل السنة ولا الدفع.
ما ده بكون معك ما برا.
أنا سؤال متى في السنة أنا سؤال سنين كله.
شكرا.
إيه إنه الكراهية بيكون ما في جبلية بيكون ما في جنوب السودان. كلنا سيكون سوا فنانا لقونا قال كلنا يكون سوا جبلية. كان في محل سوكل كله 64 جبلة بيكون فيه. magala mini fog la ngadi tet jubila wai de kullu sababa le bejibu karahia de be jatti mahal sokol mahal sokol na tani magelu go sokol kulu wona tani sakalin moyi ageja na tani ya ge sarafu moyi ade na tani na ge sarafu de kullu sababa le bejibu karahia fi junub sudan u bejibu gobelia be na sababa badun ayi ma gobila de ya kida umuni ya kida yala pig bagi gabel be kelingala ana ya number 1 ana ya kida de ya be jibu karahia wujud ta ajin ta karahia de mabujid lakin kan nasu wajib be kun gesi wahid de gesi libri junub de be kun tamam nasu mai karahu badun kelu kutu sawa kullu nasu yakun sawa sokol de nasu sawa kanangulu muna de nasu sawa kanamulu abinu duwa de nasu sawa kan nakta na kelina sawa kela enu jatu sekulu de bejaye de na su kulu fi magale fi mahal sokol jatu rutan ya go wonusu de ya sababa le jibu karahia tu binu sultan la ana sadu wai ana gale le ita kungaba badun yo mata jamenna fi kartum na ta le ita kunjatu gaba den na sawa anna ga kulu sawa na kanita lugo muskila fi bas wallahi wolide munu kuma ne bu wogi sawa lakin le karahia fi junubi ni jede ya gale sabab de yawo hibu na seni na hibu be amulu masalan gale madarasa te yal der wodi fi duwal tani dera garayna kulu be bila waye be sulu bagi gabal de kulu be subu de kulu sababa le jibu karahia fi junub sudan ya waledi de hagiga de kali wonusu taban kan hagiga wonusu be kun batal lakin bana sultana mama maria ana der wori gale kalama le jibu karahia fi junub sudan de yahudi.
شكرا أنا كير رسالتك وصل لإدارين وكمان لجنوبين اي راديو ارجع تاني مرة في 09 ولا 2 986 كراهية ولا كتاب كراهية والمعروف بالإنجليزي head speech هيلوكي في جنوب السودان هاي راديو أيوة
أنا مستمع تعارض لكن أنا ما أقول أنا ما أقول
ليه؟ نعم مرحبا
تعجبه درس جميل جديد
شكرا
كلام بتاع كراهية زي ما ميري يقول ده واحد منه تبريتين أنت بتلقوا مع الزرع بتاعك ناس بيجا كل ناس اللي بيجا بيشيلوا بينك مباراه بتاعك أنت براس قانون ما في زول بيستقل أنت نفسه ناس عشان ده بابو جيران قالوا له كجاز ثاني تسويه لو دي ده قال كده كده كسروا ما عنده برا نفسه ناس ده ياو كمان بروح ناس بيجي ورا قال لا قالوا كان كسروا ما له عمل انسكيورتي هلا بعدين هو مشكله سيبوا ناس كله قاعدين في حاله كحيله ناس ده كده كحبان لكن لو كان قال ودي حاجه تكسر لا كسر وحاجه الله ودي الله انا متاكد يعني من انا قمنا زمان يعني إننا كان قاعدين إذا ما بعرف ده قبيلة يعني هو إننا أسرة بس علينا لو في حفلة في الرجال إننا رأينا أواري جانا بدأنا فيها بيت أبننا ما بكلم لا 2007 كان من 2011 قدام بيها ومسكت كلها ما نسيت فلو كان ناس كده رجع كريا بقول ما في حاجة تكسر كده ودي لا كسر حاجة الله كده ودي لا الله كده ما في زول بيطلع زول ثاني ولا في زول بيكون عنده مشكلة مع زول ثاني ده حسب المعلومات عالمية
شكرا جزيلا نعم وكتاب كراهية هو بس ما الضروري nyaka maharadi وشنو لكن نوديك مثال مثلا في زول بقول في حاجة ناس القاب بكلام قبيلة ده يعملوا شفتا لكن ما في إثبات في زول بس بيكل من ما فيش قال دين ده دين البطال لكن ما في إثبات. وهالشكل حاجات زي ده معلومات اللغات بيشارك ده بيلقى بيزيد تفرقة في بين بتناس وبيزيد كمان مشاكل بين بتناس. فيعملوا بهدف شنو مواطنين وكمان ناس الشغالين في حكومة وفي إدارين. هاي راديو. عليكم السلام.
مدرمة.
ما بطل.
ده معك أبل واني من لوكيلري.
مرحبا أبل.
كويس. الموضوع ده جدا كويس يا مدرمة. لأن ناس عايزين يستحوا بعض الحاجات اللي نلقيها بتاعنا. ومن ضمن الحاجات ده يوم الناس بيحتفل فوقه يوم الخطاب الكراهية ده.
نعم.
ودي النقطة لازم تجيبها ثانيين وكيف ناس يطلعوا حاجات زي دي يكون ناس. تعرف حاجات زي ده إنسان زاد يدخل في المجتمع كلام ده. شفت كده؟ عشان كده بالمنة جل يقول بيجا إنه هو ما كويس لأن يجيبوا حاجات بتاع بيزاد من ضمن الأسباب ناس يجينا في فوقه زي حاجات دي. كويس. كان في مثلا واحد زول عمل حاجة بتاع الأمر كنا نعرف كلام ده جا من وين زاد. وزول ده منوبس وكده خدموه بطريقة كده الكويس. ما يشملوا في كل محل. يعني أنا مدرمة إذا كان أنا واحد ده جبالك من عندي مشكلة في أسرة تاني بطل يعني أنا لولوبو من محل تاني كان بجد يقول قال ده منو قال لك ما تعلم قال لك أسرة لولوبو ده المنافيد كده إنت بيجيبوا خطاب بيشمل في ناس اللي كان ما نظام في كلام ده
صح
فدي أنا جفت إنه حاجة زي كان لا واحد زول ده يعمله حال محل ده كله عمل حاجة زي ده أو كلام على أساس ما جفت السرقة ده ده يعمله كويس مثلا كثير نجلي وكلام ده سجى كلمة فعلا ده أثر منال يعني مثلا إنت بتلقى إنه زي توما ساسبارا في واحد زول ثاني بس بارينك أمر حاجة ثاني بتعرف كين قال ده موسيقى هون أخلاق تكون تزول ده كتاب ما كويس كلمة زي ما كويس إذا كان ده زول ده توالي أي زول زي ده بدو مقال بطريقة زي أنا كده أسلوب ده ما بكون كويس
نعم
مثلا لسه أنا بدي مثال ثاني واحد نبي لقوا في اتجاهات فايت كوتوريا ده ناس الفوق القمر حاجات بكين قال ده متمردين بيسمعوا بطريقة ده كده يلا في اتجاه ثاني ناس يعني بيجيروا بطريقة ثاني جيش أبيض حاجة ثاني بشكل كده ما بكين قال متمرد ده كده ده هذا خطاب تكراهية معلوم في اتجاه ده بكون متمرد وبهناك ده أو بقولوا حاجة ثاني براو ما كانوا متمردين كده كل متمردين كله
صح
فده حاجات أنا جايرو كان في كده نجيرو حكومة زادها كده جيرو عشان إنه كلامات زي كده ما يستعملوا والناس كده يستعملوا كلام ثاني البقدر ودي يلا إنه حاجات
وتغير زاد كده مولشينو بالضبط سنة جبت تغير
أيوة حاجات زي كان خليها يكون ما خليها يكون في حاجة مساواة في أي برنامج إذا كان في برنامج أنا قاعدين أنا كان سلو في جوا حكومة خليها يكون فوق مساواة كان في محل كده أنا كله فوق زي حكومة لأن نجي فوق ده كان في أي حاجة شكله كله فوق يكون سوا بعدين تبلغونا كلام زي ده بيكون معك
شكرا جزيلا وسط مشاركة وتهيئة خاص لناس الكل قاعد بيسمع إذا من تجابة الوكيلري أب أيام راديو. نعم بعد فرصة بس لمخالمة ولنفرين كده بعدك نينا بيجي توال في النهاية بتا مناقشة بتنا في زمن بتاسي ونينا قاعد بناقش في موضوع بتا خطاب كراهية هل وكما كده ملشنو موطنين بارو يعملوا شنو عشان كيف ببسو كلمات زي ده. هاي راديو هاي راديو هاي راديو نعم كده شبكة ولا بعد شنويتا لسه بعد رجع تاني فرصة لمخالمة يلا بعد كنينا بوجي في جزء منكم بقول نعم دير جنوبين دل وديلومون كده واحناس يا نوانس يا ملومون بدأت بقول شنو. هاي راديو هاي راديو
الو
نعم
هاي لا مدرما جامد كيف
ما بطل
هاي انت كويس
أنا كويس الحمد لله
ما أقول يا مالفوس من دينوار
ويلكم ويليام ألفوس
يا هذا ما مشكلة بتاع الرعية ده حتى في كمان في أسال الحكومية يعني كلام بيكون قاعد كده لو كنت الورقة بتاعك في مكتب أصبح اللغة أول حاجة من حياة القبيلة. إذا من حياة القبيلة هتجي من وين؟ حتى لو أنت الشهادات بتاعك كده لو قريت بتاع جامعة ولا تنشو شنو؟ ما شغالين بو. شغالين في حاجات بتاع قبلية. مستطاع حاجات زي أنا حاجات زي ما بقول كويس.
طيب يا
مولى لما تجيني ورقة بتاعك أفترض يعني أنا يشوفوك. application بتاعك as well يعني تكون متعلم ولا ما تمام experience. ممكن توارد يقول لي حاجة تجي من وين من القبيلة أرسل. شوف كلام ده كيف.
نعم. طيب يا مولى شنو بدك؟
ولا حاجة أساسية هنا تعملوا يا مدرمة ده يكون الثقافة يكون في ناس يعني ورا ناس قوية.
توية. شكرا جزيلا. All right, dear listener, with that we have come to the end of our conversation as today the United Nations and the world mark that's the International Day for countering that hate speech. And remember, this day is designated to raise awareness about the dangers of that hate speech and promote tolerance and respect in society. It calls on everyone, government, media, civil society, and the public to speak out against words that divide and to promote that peace through responsible communication. Thank you all for sharing your insight with us, and those who have written to us via that's our Facebook page, thank you so much, and those who have called, thank you, and don't forget also those who are there keenly listening to this show and at the same time taking some of the key points from this conversation. I've been your host, Madrama James, and it's really a wonderful moment interacting with you.
This is iRadio. When contributing to a topic on the radio, please avoid statements that may incite or promote hate. We encourage constructive points of views and criticisms that aim at providing solutions to problems facing the country. We do not want rumor mongering or information that is regarded as hearsays. We advocate for messages of peace and unity among the people of South Sudan. This is iRadio, your eye on South Sudan.
The Ministry of Health is conducting a commemoration of African Vaccination Week with a new vaccine introduction of pneumonia vaccine, targeting all children aged between 6 to 14 weeks. Take your child to the nearest vaccination center during the African Vaccination Week or Big Catch-up campaign.
Good morning, Mama Alice.
Good morning, Mama Ladu. Where are you coming from?
This is iRadio.
The iRadio.
Your eye on South Sudan.
Hello, I am Madrama James. It's a 5 o'clock time for iRadio News Headline. A look at what's coming up at 7 o'clock in the news bulletin. General Rabi Emmanuel